No matter how small and possibly non-competitive you are as an individual farmer or producer, by aggregating with other small producers, you have the ability to be much more competitive. An example we chose for this is Indian Springs, which is a producer cooperative in Mississippi. Indian Springs got started during the civil rights days, has brought together 36 African American farmers. They have created, out of their own money, a $500,000 plant for washing and packing and then distributing fresh fruits and vegetables. And I think these farmers understand that were it not for this kind of collaboration, they would be out of business today. And not only that, their collaboration has enabled them to bring $5,000 to $10,000 of benefit per week into 6 counties in rural Mississippi. Number 4, vertical integration. Local businesses sometimes do need to grow in order to become more competitive, but they don't need to become chains. And this was the insight of Zingerman's Delicatessen in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Zingerman's, when they opened up 20 years ago, sold $100 worth of sandwiches. And then they said, you know, okay, we're getting successful. We don't want to be a chain like Schlotzsky's. Because if we're a chain, we're going to lose our quality control. And part of the joy of what we do is having this close connection with the community of Ann Arbor. So they decided, rather than grow out, they would grow deep. And they decided to grow deep by looking at the things coming into the deli. We make sandwiches that need bread. Let's make our own bakery. We use cheese and ice cream. Let's do our own creamery. We do coffee roasting. Let's have our own roasting company. And then they looked at things coming out of the deli. We have good food. Why don't we create a sit-down restaurant called the Roadhouse? We have great customer service. We'll create a training operation called Zing Train. In all, Zingerman's is 9 independent businesses that work together under one brand. And collectively, in a town of 100,000 people, they employ 535, and their annual sales is $30 million a year. Now, what I find remarkable about the Zingerman story is that economic developers would tell us it is impossible. Because what economic developers do is say, we're going to find the thing that you do really well. This is Connecticut. You do insurance well. Therefore, we'll build the insurance industry. What they did in Zingerman's is they said, we're going to look at an area we do poorly. We do food poorly. But we're going to create a cluster of economic activity from scratch. And I believe there is no reason why even one visionary entrepreneur can't create a food cluster from scratch in every size community in the United States. Number 5, owner loyalty. Yes, local businesses have poor access to capital, but they also have some advantages to getting capital, and they're very clever about it. And one of the things that Weaver Street Market in Carrboro, North Carolina realized is that by being a consumer co-op, not only could they get capital easily and cheaply from their members, but they would cement loyalty, which meant great customers. Weaver Street Market set up from day one next to an existing Stop and Shop. Does that matter to their members? No. If Stop and Shop has a great sale on toilet paper, does that take members out of the co-op? No, because at the end of the year, the members receive their benefits based in part on their ownership shares and how much they use the co-op. So there are ways that one can build the consumer base by actually making your consumers and your investors the exact same people. Number 6, being nimble, just in time, is something local small businesses can do. Lawrence Meats in Cannon Falls, Minnesota, is a great example of a small-scale meat processing plant. Now, I think all of us are aware that this is a tremendous bottleneck in local food around the country, that the USDA has all these archaic regulations that make it very difficult for us to process meat at a small scale. But Lawrence Meats has gotten to this sort of middle size, and not only are they, successful in getting their USDA licenses, but at this size, they are able to do things that their competitors are not able to do. That is, they can build a relationship between a customer, a school, an institution, and one or two farmers, and process the stuff immediately, without any delay, without any overhead, without any loss of freshness, without any elaborate packaging. This is what you can do if you orchestrate food in a nimble, just-in-time, local way. Number 7, one of the myths about local food is that it is something that only rich people do. One of the, I don't have time to go into all of these examples, but one of the nice things about our study is it shows many countries where there are surprising local food initiatives. In Zambia, for example, there is a massive national movement toward local food and the importance of local ingredients and local economy building. In the United States, the most successful farmers market is in New York, Green Market. Green Market has actually close to 50 markets throughout the city. Half of them are operating year-round. And here's the remarkable thing, that something like a third of these markets have most of the sales to people in using food stamps and WIC coupons. So farmers markets have shown there is enormous demand by people with limited income for fresh, local, and increasingly organic food. Now, is this more expensive? Well, yeah, if you have an automobile and access to 100 different supermarkets, sure, it might be a little more expensive, but most poor people live in food deserts where they have no access to food whatsoever, except the corner bodega or the gas station, foods that are nutritionally poor and taste lousy. They're tremendous nutrient waste. These foods contribute to obesity, type 2 diabetes. So by presenting folks with reasonably, not necessarily the cheapest, but reasonably priced fresh fruits and vegetables, one can make an enormous difference in distressed communities. Number 8, better taste. This is the no-brainer for local food. Local means fresh. And one person we captured doing this is Andrew Akuenzi, a native fisher person in Ontario. He actually has been doing this for about 20 years. He goes out, does his own fishing, smokes the fish, brings it to farmers markets, and as he says, by the time my competitors are getting the bone off their fish, my customers are eating mine. And Andrew has been honored by Slow Food International, by the Food Channel, and it just is it's one of many, many examples of where local generates the taste that makes consumers show up and sometimes pay more. Number 9, better stewardship. This audience understands as well as any in the country that the most important environmentalists are farmers. Farmers are the first-line stewards of conservation of land. And trying to preserve farmers, trying to fortify farmers, is a key part of supporting the land. Now, not a few local businesses emphasize this as a way of building their customer base. And an example of this is the Intervale Center in Burlington, Vermont. About 25 years ago, the Intervale Center took over this abandoned large area of land on the outskirts of Burlington and they created a gigantic compost heap. And they now do all the organic composting for Burlington. And around that compost pile, using the compost, they have a bunch of CSAs and a bunch of training institutes for farmers. The Intervale now provides 10% of all the fruits and vegetables that are consumed in Burlington. And the Intervale, I think, has done a tremendous job in raising consciousness in Burlington and really helping people to appreciate why local food is so important to their well-being. Number 10, better labor practices. The prevailing view out there is that one way local businesses bite the dust is that they can't pay dirt cheap wages. But some of the local businesses that we looked at actually took a very different stance. They said, we actually are going to try to pay better wages and brag about this to our customers. And this will actually be good in building our customer base. And an example of this is Jim Cochran of Swantonberry Farms in Santa Cruz County, California. Jim Cochran not only said, I'd be interested in the United Farm Workers coming in to unionize my 50 strawberry pickers, he invited them in. He worked with them to set up the union. And now his 50 workers have tremendous, not only pay, but vacation days, family leave, medical leave. They also are getting ownership shares in his company and ultimately may be the owners of Swantonberry Farms. I think that's a tremendous model that we can all learn from in building up our labor standards within our business. Number 11, better services. This is an easy one for local businesses. You know people in the community. You know what they want. You know how to service them. Service is about a personal relationship. That's why Walmart will never be able to compete with you in the service department. The example we looked at that impressed us was Fundacio Paraguaya, which has a self-reliance high school. And what they did is they took over a high school that was losing money and they converted it into a for-profit high school. Their students now learn 16 kinds of local food production, everything from running a dairy to doing value-added foods, farmers market, a hotel that they run. And these businesses actually cover the cost of running the school. I mean, if you want to think of a great example of an incubator, a food business incubator that works, you got to take a look at this thing in Paraguay. Number 12, fun. Fun. Local businesses deliver a lot more fun than their alternatives. And an example we use here is the White Dog Cafe in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Run by Judy Wicks. The White Dog Cafe is a wild restaurant experience. You don't order beer, you order leg lift lager. Everything is done in dog, okay? The wine is snaggle-tooth label. The bathrooms are fire hydrants. It's a great experience, and the White Dog Cafe, besides being an excellent restaurant with about $5 million of sales each year, also has been sort of ground zero for the socially responsible small business movement in Philadelphia. It's also where Bali helped to get its start. The last example I want to share with you is where local small businesses are involved in social change.